we are. Here we are in this magical week at the very end of the year where I basically don't do a great deal of anything. But today, this year, I'm doing a great deal of something, which is coming to you and talking to you about fun language related stuff. Hi, Natasha. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, this is a sort of a magical time of year where I do the run up to all my New Year's resolutions, and they last about as long in the new year as they did to write them in the old year, which is a few days. But it's always fun. Hi, Lucy. Um, and there are always going to be these resolutions like do this more, do learn a new language, start something new, start some new projects. For me, I'm really hoping that this next year I'm going to do a little bit less and try and pare down, or at least at the very least, if I can't actually pare down what I'm doing and focus, institute a strict one in, one out rule. So if I start a new project, I have to give up an old project. I can't just keep going on the way I'm going. It's a recipe for disaster. So you get into a pensive mood at the end of the year. But we're not here to talk about resolutions and being pensive and what we're going to do differently. We're here to talk about vowels. Today is going to be a day of the Vowelpocalypse, something that was written about many thousands of years ago, an event that most fear, but there's really no need to fear the Vowelpocalypse. When the vowels come falling from the sky, you will hopefully know what to do about it, because today we're going to talk all about what vowels are, what kinds you're likely to encounter in your travels throughout the world, and also how they'd like to be organized, how they'd like to hang out with each other, because vowels tend to occur in particular patterns across languages. There are certain arrangements of vowels that are more common than others, and if you're a Conlanger, this becomes kind of interesting, because one great way to make a naturalistic conlang is to sort of look to the real world for inspiration in how you set things up. And so, given that there are definite patterns in how vowel systems are organized in natural languages, if you're a conlanger who wants to make a naturalistic conlang, well, then this is some good stuff to know. So first, the phonetics, the articulatory phonetics, specifically, of vowels. Second, vowel spaces and how they're organized and how you can use that in your conlang. And third, last but not least, we are going to continue in our Conlang with Me project, which we now have a name for the language. It's Eustamia Qal, the language of the fragrant coast. And what we're going to do today, last week we started to work on a ancestor language for our language, and now we're going to start to branch out, and we're not going to control ourselves. What we're going to do is we're going to make some related languages. So we're going to make a little language family. And I always find this great fun, because you get to see, just like with a real family, you meet someone, then you meet their family, and you can say, oh, okay, some things make more sense now. But some things are kind of confusing. And you get that same kind of feeling when you start out with one language, one conlang, and then you start to branch out into other languages in the family. You can start to see how things are kind of variations on a theme. So this is our plan for today. But I think I promised vowels first. So why don't we talk about vowels? And as I expertly and deftly get all of my windows in order, I'll just say, for those of you who are joining on YouTube in the future, tell us what it's like in the future. Do we have some sort of flying car situation? How's everything going? But if you're joining us from YouTube in the future and you enjoy this kind of content, we got to align some windows. If you enjoy this kind of content, please do subscribe, because there will be more coming. And there we go. The windows are now aligned. All you see is the blackboard. Beautiful. So there will be more of this kind of content coming. And if you do enjoy it particularly, what does they say? Smash the like button, right? And then you'll be able to let me know that you like this, maybe more than some other kind, and that'll help me plan out what I do next. Okay, that's probably the most rambly smash that like button segment that has ever occurred on YouTube, but there you have it. Welcome. Oh, I hope you can stick around because we are going to be doing some we're going to be doing some conlang in the third part. Okay, so vowels. For those of you who are interested in vowels, and if you're interested in language, you have to be interested in vowels because all languages have vowels. What is a vowel? A vowel is something we can distinguish between a vowel and a consonant. See, these are the two kind of basic types of sound, of speech sound. A vowel is a sound that's made with a relatively unobstructed airflow. So things like I, O, I, all of these kinds of things. We can contrast vowels with consonants, in which there is always some kind of obstruction of airflow. Could be complete obstruction, like in a stop. Aptly named these things stops because the airflow stops. Pa, a, pa, a, da. I've put vowels on either side so you can hear them. Because if I just said, well, you wouldn't hear anything because the airflow is stopped. So you can have that complete closure. You can also have partial closure with things like fricatives. Oh, by the way, idea, if anyone's on TikTok, you should do something like this. You should do linguistics ASMR and have all the different IPA characters come up, and then a voice says voiced, uvular, fricative, and then just sort of a jump scare for everyone. So that's free content for all of you. You can just take that. Okay, what's next? Yes, so we have our consonants, which are made with obstruction of some kind, the vowels, which are made without obstruction, and okay, this is a good place to start. So what happens, we talk about vowels. There's obviously more than one vowel. We can say ah, we can say e. These sound kind of different. And we, oh no, the stream is lagging. Okay, yeah, watch it later when it comes up on YouTube. Free ASMR from the phonetics dudes. This is like, we always talk about linguist jobs. Well, what better job for phoneticians than, to become ASMR streamers? I can't claim to be one myself. I'm, for the record, a morphologist. That's my bag. But yeah, I'd say go for it. If you're a phonetician, go into ASMR. It's a growth industry. Okay. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so we've got all these different vowels, but how are they different? There are 3 dimensions that we can talk about in which vowels might be different. There are actually more than 3, but let's talk about 3 for now. So the big traditional division is into, where is my mouse? Give a big smiley face here. Okay, so that we know where we are. And don't go here. That's for me. Okay, so let's see. We have 3 dimensions. We have height, dimension 1. We have dimension 2, backness. And dimension 3, we have rounding. Okay, these are the 3 sort of main dimensions along which vowels vary, at least in their vowel quality. So what vowel are we talking about here? Is it an ah? Is it an e? Is it an So we have this, and what do we mean by height and backness? Well, if we look at the mouth, let me just do a little bit of artistry here for all of you. So let's take let's sort of imagine that we have the human body split on the side like this. So we're seeing what's called a sagittal section. So we're seeing a slice of the human body. So no, we've gone. Okay, there we go. So we have a nose, something like this, and then we have some nostrils here so air can get in, and then we have the lips that come down here, and then we have a nice chin, and we go off like this, and might have to give us a bit more space here. Okay. So this is the outside. Now let's talk about the inside. So we have the nasal cavity. Something that looks a little bit like this. And we have the teeth. And you can see just the skills on display here. You have the teeth, the top teeth, the bottom teeth, something like this. Then you have the roof of the mouth, the palate, the hard palate, and then you have the soft palate, or the velum. So the velum, the veil of the palate. And so this, unfortunately, we might have some congestion issues here. So if you can imagine, or you don't have to imagine, take your tongue and put it up against the roof of your mouth and just keep going back. So you feel your teeth, you feel this sort of ridge. That's this here. This is called the alveolar ridge, incidentally. And then you get to this sort of the roof of your mouth, which is where you don't want to get peanut butter. And it is, it's hard. And as you go further and further back, you reach a point where it becomes soft. And this is the soft palate, or the velum. And then the velum will end in the uvula, which is as we mentioned, I think a few weeks ago, the little dangly bit that you see in cartoon characters when they scream. And then go down like this. Great. Okay. So then we also have the tongue here. Let's put the tongue like this. All right. I'm not going to worry about every little part of this anatomy here, because what we're really concerned with is this space. Let's get another color up. Let's see if I can distinguish between this space in here. This is where the vowel action is going to happen. And when we talk about height and backness, what we're talking about is roughly where we're describing the shape of the tongue. In particular, its highest point. And so when you move the tongue up and forward in the mouth, you make a sound like E, E. So, if you're following along at home, you can do this too. Just make an E sound, and then be aware of where your tongue is positioned in your mouth as you're doing this. So E, and then contrast it with something like ah, E, ah. And what's going on with your tongue when this happens? Well, your tongue is doing two things when you transition from E to ah. You're going, the highest point of the tongue is going down, and it's also going back. So you're going to have something like, let's get another color here. Superb. So for E, we might have something like this. E. And for ah, sorry for all the visual pollution here. So let's say this is E. And this is going to be the IPA symbol for E. And then for ah, let's make this nice and blue. So we have this low back vowel, and that is going to look something a little bit more like ah. So we see that the topmost part of the tongue is low down and to the back, and I don't know how to get back to that other color, but it was something like this. And here it's sort of up into the front. So what we get when we consider these two dimensions is we get a kind of vowel space. We can sort of abstract away from the messy kind of reality and look at a little shape like this. Okay, I'm going to try and draw that a little bit better. And so this is the high part up here, and this is the low part down here. And then we have the front at the left side and the back. And so this kind of maps on to this green shape over here. Am I doing this right? Yeah. This area here. And so when we have access to this, we can start to plot where different vowels occur in this sort of two-dimensional axis. In this two-dimensional space with the height and the backness axes. And so that's why when you'll see vowel charts, if you go to Wikipedia for any language and you look at the phonology section, you'll see a vowel chart, which will, because it's done in HTML, it has to look like a bit of a table, but you'll see things where a vowel like, and I'm just going wild with the colors here, but you'll see E up here, and you'll see A down here, and you'll see U here, and various other things in other places. And so that's really what's going on here. So you can sort of do a grand tour of the vowel space with your tongue. If you start up at the very front and the high front vowel E, you just gradually lower it. E, and we get this A vowel, this low front vowel, and then we pull it back. Right? We're going back. Then we can go up from to Okay, we've gone all the way up to the high back vowels. Something more to be said about them soon. Because you'll notice something happened with my lips as I did that. And then from the high back vowel, we can go all the way back to where we started. Ooh. Right? And so there I've also unrounded my lips as I've done it. And so this is the first two dimensions of the vowel space, and I've teased the third dimension. And the third dimension is rounding. And so this has to do with what's going on with the lips. For some vowels, you can, you can round basically any vowel, although there are definite tendencies as to which ones tend to be round. You'll see that almost always back non-low vowels, so this section of the vowel space are rounded. So they're round by default. These are things like oo or o. And the rest of the vowel space is sort of by default unrounded. But you can also have unrounded back vowels, unrounded high back vowels. So you'd have something like oo versus so you just keep the tongue exactly where it is for that vowel and just unround your lips. Ooh. Your mileage may vary on how accurate that is. I don't speak a language with that vowel natively, but that's the general idea. And just as you can have unrounded versions of normally rounded vowels, or sort of by default rounded vowels, you can also have rounded versions of vowels that by default are unrounded. So these are, a good example. This would be the high front vowels. E. E is a vowel. It's unrounded. You can see E, a nice non-rounded mouth shape there. And if we round that, E, 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 so we get this vowel E, which is a vowel you find in French and German. And I forgot to write the unrounded version of oo. Ooh. And this vowel is found in Japanese, actually, with no contrastive rounded version, so that's a bit of an exception. It's also found in Korean and Scots Gaelic. So, what else is there to discuss? So, we have these three dimensions, and then you can start to look at. I'm going to try and find myself some more space here. Do I have it? No, not on that. Not on that side. Okay. So we have this vowel chart, and the important thing to know about the vowel chart is that the symbols we assign to the vowels are kind of idealizations. So the way it works is according to a system called the cardinal vowel system. And what the cardinal vowel system is, and let me make sure I'm going to draw this in a spot where you can see it. Hello, there we go. Make this nice and big because we're going to need it. We have our vowel space here. And the cardinal vowel system says that we can define vowels in relationship to the extreme positions in this vowel space. So whatever in a language, whatever the highest and frontmost vowel is, we're going to write that E. Now, in any given language, the way this is pronounced might not be exactly this E, this highest and frontmost possible vowel that could ever be, but whatever's closest to that is going to be notated with this symbol. And similarly, we can go front and low front. So whatever the lowest and frontest vowel in a language is going to be notated A. So in a language, it might be something a little bit different. It might be A, it might be A, it might be Eh. But whatever vowel is in that range is going to get this symbol. Then similarly, we go to the back. Low back vowel is going to get this sort of script A symbol, Ah. And again, it might not be exactly that lowest, backest possible vowel, but whatever's closest. And then similarly, we have our oo vowel. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make this. No, I'll do it as I did it. Apologies there. And then we have this oo vowel. So whatever's closest to these points on the quadrilateral, that's going to get that symbol. So you are not guaranteed to have the exact, when you see the IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet symbol, this little I, which represents E, it might not be exactly the same in every language, but it's going to be the closest vowel in that language to this idealized cardinal vowel. We have other cardinal vowels. So basically what we do is we subdivide this space into we subdivide the height axis into two layers in between high and low. And we give them cardinal vowels as well. So we have these two vowels, E and E. So these are the sort of, these are sort of in between. These are the mid vowels. We have the more close mid A or high mid A, and then the more open or low mid E. And similarly in the back vowels, these are going to be rounded. We have the high mid O and the low mid O. And let's just make a little, this is like the border of rounding. This is the border of default rounding. If you are unrounded inside this border, you are marked. And if you are rounded outside of this border, you are marked. So these are the cardinal vowels. We also have some central cardinal vowels. So just as we've subdivided the height axis with two additional steps, we subdivide the backness axis with one additional step. And then we get things like, this is E, I, the high central vowel. We get vowels here, and we get vowels here, and then we even get a vowel right in the center, which is schwa. I will give a so an actual in practice. I don't know a lot of non-phoneticians that are familiar with the vagaries of these central vowels, and who can distinguish them accurately or produce them accurately. Phoneticians, yes, but those of us who are more on the sort of structure side, farther away from the sound, would probably just say it's all some sort of variety of schwa anyway. So cardinal vowels. This is what we have. So basically, when you encounter a language, you have to take its vowel inventory and assign symbols based on which of these cardinal vowels each is closest to. If you get a vowel that is, so if you've used up the possible cardinal vowels, then you have to start assigning extra vowels. So there are extra symbols that are used when you've got a vowel in between. So say in a language you have this E vowel already taken, this I symbol is already taken with the E vowel, this A symbol's this, it's our letter E, but A is the sound. So this is taken up by another vowel. And so you have a vowel in between, like I. So this is not quite as high as E, not quite as low as A. So this is like the English vowel in bit, as opposed to beat or bait. Give that a nice monophonal pronunciation so you can contrast them. Beat, bit, bait. So we have this vowel hanging out in between here, and so we need more symbols here. And so what we have are these extra symbols that can stand in. So we have, or that can be used when we have another sound that needs to be written. So what else do we have? We have, I've also not written the front rounded and the back unrounded vowels. So let's pause before we do that and just let me finish this. So we have this vowel for something that's not quite oo and not quite o. What else do we have? We have something higher, low, central. So we have this kind of upside down. Oh, I don't know why it does that. Upside down A vowel here. And so we can use these extra symbols if we are missing, if we need something else to. So where are we? I haven't given you the symbols for the rounded front vowels and the unrounded back vowels. So I'm going to make use of a new color, a blue, beautiful blue. And we are going to look at the rounded equivalent. So let's look at the rounded front vowels. So we've already seen this letter Y is used for the rounded version of E. We also have, essentially we have rounded equivalents at every single point of the cardinal vowels. So we have one here, we have one here, we have one here, and we have one here. We also have one here, and we have one here. Oh, and sorry, we have one here as well. Then we have the unrounded equivalents of the ordinarily rounded back vowels. And so I'm just going to give them a slightly different color here. Yeah, okay, there we go. So we have the unrounded high back vowel. Then we have the high mid, low mid, and oops, I remember. I forgot to put one in here. So we also have a sort of in between high and sort of a not quite high, but just a little one step lower front rounded vowel, which I'm not going to attempt to pronounce here because I don't think I could do it justice. But it's well, okay, I will attempt to because, this is a stream. If I'm not going to try it, I bring it up. So we have something like bit, and like that. So that would be this small caps Y. If you are a native speaker of a language that has this vowel, you may find these efforts comical. But that's what we're here for. If we can't entertain you a little bit, then what can we do? Okay, so I'm going to take a brief hydration break, and I will return, and I'll address this comment about the glides. 1 second. Okay. So essentially, a glide is a consonantal version of a vowel. So I think if we're talking, so this is, I'm kind of approaching this from a phonological angle, but if you have an e that is used in a consonantal way, you have something like yeah, yes. But if you stop, if you say something like yes, and you hold it on the y, yes. So you have essentially a vowel, but being used in a consonantal way. Now, I think there may be some small difference in articulation, a little bit more obstruction of airflow. That is not something that I'm 100% sure about. But you can hear in English the difference between, in English, our long vowels like E tend to have this off glide E. And so the fact that it's not E, but E indicates that there is some slight articulatory difference. But that I'm off the top of my head, I'm not exactly sure how I would characterize it. But essentially, a glide is like a vowel being used consonantally. So in a position in a syllable where you would expect or where you need a consonant. So you have things like E, where the glide version is a Y. You have things like U, where the consonant version is W. And you have a few others. Okay. So we've talked about the three kind of dimensions of vowel quality. Now, this is only vowel quality that we are talking about. So this is sort of difference in the sound of a vowel, but we can also have different vowel quantity. So some vowels are held just for longer than others. And this is a distinction that some languages make. So we have languages where you'd contrast a with a, or o and o. And I'm not going to dwell too much on that here, other than to just let you know that it exists. There's also tone, which shows up on vowels and can make contrasts in languages. You also have nasalization, which can occur on vowels. So if we go back to our friend with sinus problems, we normally have the airflow coming through the mouth, and the velum is actually blocking off airflow coming up into the nose. But we can also lower the velum and have, instead of we can have so if you've ever, this is a big thing when you're learning to sing too, is you're often told in some way or another to raise the velum, at least in certain styles. And it's hard for people to do this sometimes because it's not something that you have a great deal of insight about how to control, the velum. Okay, raise your velum, everyone. But you can actually get at this. You can isolate this motion by just if you speak any French, you're already primed for these vowels, these vowels, these nasal vowels. If we're going to allow airflow through the nose, what we're doing is we're lowering the velum. So the difference between apologies, that probably sounded kind of dubious, but so that difference, whatever you're doing to do that, if you do it along with me, that's raising, lowering the velum. Okay, so vowels, right? So what do we do with these vowels? So now I'm going to take, so all that I've said is sort of generally applicable to natural languages, to constructed languages. Let's focus in on how all this works with constructed languages. So we'll take a break in the video here. I will just keep going, of course, but this will be the end of one segment and the start of the next one, which is, okay, now we have vowels. We know about all these different vowel qualities. What do we do with them? And so if you're, again, in the future, if you're joining us from YouTube, just for this segment, welcome. We do a lot of Conlang stuff on this channel, so if you like it, please consider subscribing. We have some, let me just let me just talk to you here without all that distraction. So one of the things that we do as conlangers is try and come up with phonologies. Often the first step that you'll see when someone posts a conlang online is, what do you think of my phonological inventory? And they'll post a vowel chart and a consonant chart. And, truthfully, this isn't a lot to go on. So people often ask for more, okay, tell me about the inspiration, tell me about the grammatical structure. But to be honest, the phonological inventory does actually control a lot of the feel of the language. And if the phonological inventory is not naturalistic, then, well, either you're doing that for a reason, you want to make a non-naturalistic conlang, or there's going to end up being some sort of something off about it if you're going for that naturalistic look. And so if we want to understand how to make a conlang naturalistic, we need to understand the patterns that exist in nature. And so to do that, we look at the distribution of phonological inventories in the world, and it turns out there are lots of patterns that hold over these inventories in the world. And so that's what we're going to talk about now. That's a bit of rambling, but we're going to talk about it, and it's going to be great. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't seen the bit about the vowel space and about height and backness and rounding, go watch that now. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that you know all about all of that, and we're just going to start playing with it. So let's open up a new file. You get to watch me figure out how to resize windows. Isn't this thrilling television? Okay. So let's take us back over to here. Nope, that's the right one. There we go. Align your windows. Okay, so we're talking about vowel inventories here. What's a naturalistic vowel inventory? So let's make our little fun quadrilateral. So we've got our front vowels towards the front. We've got our back vowels towards the back. We've got our high vowels up top. And we've got our low vowels. Low, there we go. Our low vowels here. Okay, so we have this nice vowel space here. If you were to ask yourself, what is the most common vowel inventory for a language to have? What would you guess it would be? If you were to look across a big database of languages from all over the world and figure out what size would that inventory be? What do you think the most common size is? I know there's a bit of a lag with the chat, so I'll ramble a little bit while you think. So is it large? Is it something with 20, 30 vowels? Is it very small? Is it something with say 3 vowels? Look, we have I, U, A, so this 3 vowel system. I, U, A, so this is a 3 vowel system. We also have a vote in here for I, E, A, O, U, the 5 vowel system. So both of these are very common, but the one that has the edge is the 5 vowel system. And so this is the kind of the Spanish system, if you want to think of it tied to a particular language. So we have 5 vowels here. We have I, E, A, O, U. And if you have a discerning ear, you will recognize that those vowels, many of them don't sound particularly English. English does not have an A vowel, at least the variety of English that I speak, does not have this monophthongal A vowel where we don't turn it into a diphthong and go A, or O. Some varieties, of course, do, but mine does not. But in these 5 vowel systems, you will see I, E, A, O, U. And sometimes schwa. Yes, and sometimes schwa does come in. So this is actually the very most common system. And so if you're conlanging and if you're sort of out of ideas, you want something to just sort of get started with, you could do much worse than I, E, A, O, U. You also have all the keys on your keyboard to type them easily, so you're not going to have any trouble. It's this is the system that that Latin had, and this is why it's so easy for us to type it, because we're using their alphabet. English has, well, many different varieties of English have different vowel systems. This is one of the ways in which English varieties differ most strongly from each other. But the English vowel system in my variety of English is a great deal more complicated, and some other varieties it's even more complicated than that. And we have so many sounds that we don't have letters to write them all, so we end up doing things like, writing them with OW or EA and all manner of IE. Oops. EA and IE, things like this. But if you are in if you're in the 5 vowel club, you don't have this problem when you're coming up with a romanization. This eraser is pretty low powered. All right. Right, so that's a good place to start, the 5 vowel system. If you want to go lower, you can do what Luke suggested, or what Luke guessed is a common system, and it absolutely is. E, A, U. So this is a 3 vowel system. And one thing that's kind of interesting to notice about these systems is, have you noticed how the vowels are sort of equidistant in a way? You can really notice it here. You have this E high front, you have this A, which is low central or maybe low front, and you have this high back rounded vowel U, and these are sort of, they're running away from each other in the vowel space. They don't want anything to do with each other, it seems. And so that's an important principle when it comes to vowel spaces, is this sort of maximization of contrast, which you do see occur. Now, it's obviously not the only thing in the world, because we have languages like English where you distinguish E from I, from A, from E, from A, so you have all sorts of fine-grained distinctions, but as a tendency, you do see these vowels sort of fleeing from each other if you look across the languages of the world. And so that's why this is another common vowel system. Oops, heavens to Murgatroyd. Oh no, that's not ready for you. That's for later. Apologies. I need to get the other page of my notes up. What's happening to me? This is not how I imagine my life would be. Okay, so we have these 3 and these 5 vowel systems. So 3 is kind of the lower end. The vast majority of languages in the databases that at least I've looked at contrast 3 vowels. Most common is 5. If we're in the sort of the meaty part of the bell curve, we also can go up to 9. So it's also relatively common to have a vowel system that contrasts 9 qualities. So in that case, we'd have something like, let's go back up to 5. And what we notice is we go up to 5, we add a few, we go up to 9, we keep the ones we have, and we just keep adding more. So we have something like this. So this is the vowel system of the language Lika, which is a Bantu language. And we contrast I, E, E, A, O, U, U. Okay, so this is larger, but still quite symmetrical, and still sort of maintaining everything in its space around the edges of the vowel space. So that's kind of interesting. So if you are sort of a beginner conlanger and you want to sort of stay within the realm of naturalism and simultaneously keep things sort of easy for yourself, what you can do is you can sort of think of your vowel space as a dial that goes from 3 to 9. If you have 3, I, A, U, I, A, U. If you have 5, I, A, A, O, U. And if you have 9, something like this. And then if you want to do something in between, you can do a 7 vowel system. Maybe I'm going to just take my comically small eraser, and maybe you have something like this, and this is a 7 vowel system that you'll see. And so these are all very naturalistic and they're brilliant. So go with any of them if you're getting started and you want something sort of easy to get you going. That's it. Sometimes you want to do other things. You know, you don't want to just have symmetrical systems. By the way, when I'm talking about symmetrical systems, let's look at this. So let's bring back our friends here. And let's just put an imaginary line. Imagine it goes right through that A. You know, something like that. And 4 on the front, 4 on the back, and this one in the middle. It's kind of like balancing them. So this is a symmetrical inventory because there's an equal number of vowels in the front as in the back. This is pretty common. This also comes along with this quality of sort of dispersion that we see in vowel inventories. We see the vowel phonemes or the contrastive vowels spreading themselves out in the vowel space. Another one is this principle of symmetry, where we sort of see the same thing going on in the front and the back. The only time where we don't see this symmetry is in the middle. Is in the very low vowels, in which case we often just have one. So we have this a vowel which stands alone. If, and it's an if. Not every language does this, but if you don't want a symmetrical system, that's an option. But the ways in which languages tend to be asymmetrical is something where there are patterns. One pattern is that if a system is asymmetrical, it will have more contrasts in the front than in the back, by and large. That's the tendency. And so it's often common to have an extra unpaired front vowel. And so one analysis that I've seen of Ukrainian looks like world's smallest eraser. Looks like this. And so we have this imbalance. From a certain perspective, we have more front vowels than we have back vowels. And this is something that's relatively common. So this is a 6 vowel system in which you have more contrast in the front than in the back. Finding the unmute button is always an adventure. Okay, so we've talked about the overall size of an inventory. Common to have a size in the 3 to 9 range. We've talked about symmetry and dispersion, and we've talked about asymmetry and the preference for more contrast in the front than the back. One thing I'd also like to draw your attention to, if we go a little bit back in time, see if my undo. Yeah, okay. So if we go back in time and look at this 9 vowel system, there's something kind of striking about it, which is that the vowels are, they are sort of evenly dispersed in the space on the sort of top to bottom axis, on the height axis, but they're all crowding sort of at the very front of the mouth or at the very back of the mouth. I, E, O, U, U. So, I, E, O, O, U. Nothing going on in the middle, except for this A, which is sort of standing alone as it tends to do. This gets back to I'm here for good times comment, sometimes schwa. What you will sometimes see is that when a language starts to go beyond these sort of symmetrical systems, what they'll do is they'll actually keep the symmetry by adding central vowels, more central vowels in addition to a. So let's look at let's get out this very, very comically small eraser. No, I found a way to make it less comical. There we go. That's me understanding technology here. I am understanding technology live. That's what this channel is all about. Okay, so then we have a 5-vowel system for this analysis of Malay, but we have 6 vowels actually. We have a central vowel, schwa. And so now we still have a symmetrical system, but we've actually filled out the middle of this vowel space. And so what happens is as the number of vowels in a system increases, the chances that they'll start to be non-peripheral vowels, so vowels that aren't sort of clustered along the very front or the very back, starts to go up. And so these non-peripheral vowels, they tend to be things like schwa or barred I, the high central vowel. You know, you might have this. I'll put it inside the vowel space there. So this is one type of non-peripheral vowel. Another type of non-peripheral vowel would be the kind of the non-default member of the rounding pair. So you may know that any vowel, whether it's high, low, front, or back, can be either rounded or unrounded. But that there are tendencies, and if you don't know this, go watch the other video that I have in this whole setup about vowel spaces. What you'll find that back vowels, with the exception of the low vowel, tend to be rounded. So we have o, u, right? O, u. Front vowels, actually everything but these non-low back vowels, tend to be unrounded, sort of by default. You can think of it that way. But they also all have an equivalent, a partner that is, for the back vowels, unrounded. So instead of u, you have instead of o, you have o. For the front vowels, their partner would be the rounded vowel, e, e, e. So we have these sort of the non-default member of the rounding pair, and these are also considered non-peripheral vowels. And so the the reason that we consider them non-peripheral vowels, it's a topic for another day. It goes into acoustics and too much for one video. But suffice it to say that these non-default members of the rounding pairs can show up as well as we start to increase the number of vowels in the inventory. So let's look at a language like Finnish. And I'm going to have to erase some things in order to do this. Okay. So Finnish actually has in some ways, an even more symmetrical inventory than the 5-vowel inventories. Finnish has a 6-vowel inventory, where we have a low front vowel and a low back vowel. Now, if we're going strictly speaking by the cardinal vowel system, this should be notated like this and but you will often see, for historical reasons, including in English, the low front vowel is spelled, even if there's only one low front vowel, it'll be spelled with this AE ligature. It's for historical reasons, as we're used to doing it for English. Technically, you should do this, write this, just the A character, but nevertheless, I digress. So we have we have this system for Finnish. So we have 3 in the front, 3 in the back, but we also have rounded members of the front high and mid vowels. And so this is another kind of way of increasing your vowel qualities in an inventory by introducing these rounded pairs, the non-default member of the rounding pairs. And so these tend only to occur when there is there's already the default, the so-called default member. So you tend to get E only when there's already E in the system. You don't tend to just have E on its own, the rounded version. Okay, so that's true of the front, and let's talk about the back. So this also kind of works the same way. Let's use the no longer comically small eraser And let's look at the inventory for Lao. And so that's going to end up looking something like this. So we have I, E, A, O, O, U. And then we have some back unrounded vowels. So let's just write them here. O. This is a cool symbol. And so here we've augmented the vowel space by using these non-default rounding pairs, but in the back. And the tendency is true here too, that you only get unrounded back vowels when you already have rounded back vowels in the inventory. Although this is not exceptionless. I think probably the best counterexample is Japanese. These are ways, these are all sort of naturalistic vowel inventories. And the principles at work here, you can apply in a Conlang with relative ease. You can go beyond these. You can go past 9 vowels. You can start, you can go into Germanic languages are sort of famous for having very, very high vowel inventories. Or you can go quite low as well. So if you want to stay in the realm of naturalism, take inspiration from the natural world, and here are some of these principles that the natural world or rather the very small section of the natural world that governs vowel inventories. These are the principles that it tends to be governed by. So I think with that said, I will stop this segment here. As we've discussed quite a lot about vowels and about vowel inventories. I'm going to come back to you on the main camera because I feel like this is nicer. This is, we can talk like this. Finnish does have vowel harmony, yes, as well. The details of Finnish vowel harmony I do not recall, and maybe this makes me a bad a bad phonologist. Yeah, I do not recall the details of Finnish vowel harmony, sadly. I feel like that's like sort of a classic problem set too in phonology, and so it's quite embarrassing that I don't have it off the top of my head. But I do at least know that it has vowel harmony, and that's half the battle. Right. Okay. So what are we going to do next? Because we're at the hour mark. We're sort of halfway through the stream. We're getting limber. We're getting Zen-like here. And I think what we're going to do, if I can get windows arranged correctly, is I think what we're going to do is we're going to start doing some conlanging. And so we've been working on our language, which we call Justamia Call. And last week, we made an ancestor language for this language. And, we didn't do too much on it. We just started to imagine what kind of a language might have given birth to this language. And so we have some cool protoforms, which we're going to look at. I went through and came up with protoforms for all of the vocabulary that we've come up with so far. But the problem is, and this is probably a personality flaw on my account, I am seized with the desire to make some relatives for Justamia Call, because it's really cool to see two different languages that have arisen from the same source and how they've differed over time. And so I think part of the fun is to make a language that is different enough to be kind of interesting, but also similar enough to be recognizable. And so we're going to play with that. So basically this segment, for those joining just for this segment, welcome. This is a channel that has lots of conlang stuff. So if you haven't seen the original videos in this series, do check out the playlist because you'll see how it all develops. But we do lots of conlang stuff, so please do join us, subscribe, all that good jazz. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to start to make some other languages in this family, and you're going to sort of see the process. And so if you are a conlanger and you want to sort of develop your world building skills, you can start to go beyond the one language and make a whole family of languages. And then you can do cool stuff like have them, borrow from each other or influence each other. You can do all sorts of fun stuff. You can have doublets. So, you might have two languages, one which becomes the ultra prestigious imperial language of ultimate excellence or whatever. And then you can have another language which is, not that. And the people who speak that language get conquered by the imperial blah, blah, blah people. And then you get words that came down into the one language just from one generation to another, subject to all the changes in sounds that occurred in that language. And then you get words that are borrowed from the ultra mighty imperial language, and you get this is the kind of thing that happened in English, right? So you have things like father and paternal. These two words come from the same source originally, but one has been reborrowed. Or something like loyal, which comes into English from French, and legal, which comes into English from Latin. And so you have two different borrowings of the same ultimate original word. And those are called doublets. So you can do things like that. But it all starts with making more than one language. So let's do this. Let's get the webcam good stuff set up, and we're all going to be very happy. I think I need to move myself over to, maybe I'll move myself over here. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. So we have here's an example of our, so we have Yustamiakal, which is our language that we've been working on. You may remember words such as Aptuma, mountain, Fasana, or Fazana rather, black or dark. We have Masliku, bright or white. We have Payawi, swan. Konavidi, or Konavidi. I haven't really worked out the stress yet. This word meaning all day long, which comes from night and day. So we have Kona, night, and Fidi, day here. And what I've done in between last week and this week is derive some proto-forms. So we have a few rules that govern the relationship between this proto-language and Yustamiakal. Actually, let me... whoa, yeah. So we can always see our column titles. And if anyone just figured out that's something you can do in Sheets, you're welcome. Okay, so we have things like, one of the big decisions for this proto-language is I wanted it to be all CV, so consonant-vowel, strict consonant-vowel structure. So all of these consonant clusters that we have in Yustamiakal, we need to find a way to derive them. And so what I did was a kind of just a quick and easy way of doing this. Added a schwa. Wherever there's a deleted vowel, or wherever there's a consonant cluster or a coda consonant, we have a schwa. So something like, let's say a good example. Aptuma comes from apatoma. And let's see if I can get it. Oh, here's an easier example. Yakam, or yagam rather, meaning thing. Yagam comes from yakama. So the schwa at the end just drops out in Yustamiakal. A few other things. The uvulars come from labialized velars. So ko comes from kwa. So the reflexive pronoun lok in Yustamiakal comes from lakwa, which I think is cool. And I did find some sort of real world precedent for this. I'm not sure exactly the circumstances, but I looked in the Index Diachronica, and lo and behold, there was one instance of a change where labiovelars became uvulars, so why not? Let's just use it. And then we have these beautiful things like fakwale and fahua. which I kind of like. And so what I think we should do is make some languages that that are part of the same family, and I think we should make more than one. So, okay, we're getting some good suggestions. Yes. So I also think it would be interesting to not do the intervocalic voicing in one of these other languages. So let's call this just language lang2. Let's get these things all harmonized in terms of their. Why does that look different? Font size. Every time. There we go. Okay, lang2, and we might have a lang3, and depending on how much time this takes, we might even have a lang4. And I think what we should do is take some sort of juicy words that seem like they would have a lot of changes to them, and start with those, and then sort of work out from there. So maybe move this a little bit over to this side. I feel like we have this anatokwa. The reason, by the way, that I have this as a long vowel is just due to the schwa deletion rule. If the schwa was stressed in the proto-language, I had it turned into an E. You can look at the last video for the details on that, but just basically that's how it is. So we have stress on the penultimate syllable if that's a long vowel, and on the antepenultimate syllable. So penultimate, second last, anatokwa if it's a long vowel. Otherwise, we have it on the antepenultimate, which is the third last. So anakwo, alupa, afitohwa, rather than apatoma or anatokwa, yosatako. Okay, so I think, yeah, that's all the explanation that we need, maybe. Let's continue. So we have some two requests, and I love them. They are no intervocalic voicing, which is just allophonic in Ustamia call. So none of that, and let's retain the vowel length thing from protocol. Yeah, let's call this protocol. Okay, and we can also mess around with semantic change too, but let's just get some forms on the table first. So what do we say? Apatoma. So I think I'm just gonna put some things over here. So for lang2, we need some rules. We know what we're not gonna do. One thing I think we should do is, why don't we get rid, not of all schwas, or all unstressed schwas, but why don't we get rid of all unstressed vowels, period. So we have this stress pattern in the proto-language, which is very similar to Latin stress patterns. So we have the long vowels attracting stress, otherwise antepenultimate. So why don't we take that, and why don't we turn it into, okay, yes, let's do this. Let's erase that stress pattern from the lang2 branch of the family, and let's go to word initial stress. So all of our fancy stress system is just going to become word initial. So instead of having apatoma, we have apatoma. So what we're going to do is then have this kind of even number rule. So the even numbered syllables are all going to drop out unless there's some sort of really wonky cluster that arises. And this is something that happened in the history of Irish. So that means, yep, you guessed it, aptom. All right, so that's one thing. So let's just write some notes. These are not going to be the most sophisticated expressions of the rules, but just something to keep so that we can remember. Delete. So we have apatoma going to apatoma, going to apatoma, going to apatom. All right, so we've lost these vowels. Let's see what are the other effects of this. So let's take afitohua. And what does this become? Aftoh. Aftoh. Okay, let's see another one. Yosetamia. This is the name of the fragrant coast. Presumably these people are not going to live in the fragrant coast, but you know, they might still have a name for it. So Yosetamia. So we have Yosetamia. Yosetamia. Right? Yosetamia. Yeah, Yosetamia. What else do we have? Fetu. So we have fet. Yakama. So here's a case where we have a very different looking outcome. So instead of yak, so we lost the schwa in Ustamia call, yakam or yagam. Here we are going to lose the a, yakma. Okay, so and similarly for fasana, protocol fasana, we're going to lose the second a, so fasna. Similarly, fakwale. Fakle. Okay. Cool. Cool, cool. Anakwo. Ankwo. I like this. Okay. Now we need... Okay. All right. Yes. I kind of had a moment when I saw what you just wrote, so I'm just going to read it out. So I'm here for good time writes. For Lang 3, what if the intervocalic voicing rule ranks higher than the schwa drop? So it comes before the schwa drop, so that there ends up becoming a distinction, a phonemic distinction between voiced and voiceless consonants. Kind of like what happened in the history of English. For fricatives, yes, let's do that. So let's work on, we can work on these, you know, kind of at the same time as well. So Lang 3. So intervocalic like voicing. Let's see if I can maybe, I don't know. We're always limited in our real estate, aren't we? Intervocalic voicing, schwa deletion. So Lang 3 might actually be more closely related to Ustamia call than Lang 2 because it shares this schwa deletion. Although no, because we'd have an ordering paradox then, so maybe not. Okay. So so I'm gonna need my PA keyboard. I'm gonna need my PA keyboard for this, and then I want to get to Luke's suggestion, because I like that. I like me a chain shift. Okay, so we are going to need to voice things in between vowels. So here we have, let's get off our, we have avido. Where does that live on this keyboard? There we go. Avidogua, and then we have avidog. And here we have alupa. So we have aluba. Let's see. Let's do apatoma. Abdoma. Are we going to get... Yagma. So Yagam, sorry. Are we actually going to get a contrast here? I think we might not get a contrast here, because I'm trying to find a way where we wouldn't have where we wouldn't have a dropped, where we'd have a schwa deletion with, or we would have some case where we contrast voiceless and voiced. Well, okay, I know a way. Let's delete let's delete all final vowels. So in addition to the schwa deletion, we also delete final vowels. So maybe we do the schwa deletion first, then the introvocalic voicing, then final vowel deletion. So this, I think, should get us to a contrast. Let's try this again. So avido. So this is still going to be voiceless, and yeah, this will do us. And that's alub, aptoma, and yagam. Yeah. So now we do have contrastive. Now we will have contrastive voicing in word final position. Let's see if we can find a case that sort of proves it. I can find it if I really try. Okay, so oops, wrong one. Antok. This would give us, because we delete the schwa first, and so it doesn't allow us to trigger the introvocalic voicing. And then let's contrast this with anagwo, which gives us anag. There we go. That's a near minimal pair. Near enough for what we can fit on the screen anyway. So we have derived a voicing contrast here. Okay, let's go to what Luke said about this chain shift. This is really interesting. So K could become H and Q could become K. So I'm gonna interpret this as the labialized velar kwa would become K. So in that case, what we could do is, because we don't actually have the K, the uvular in this language yet, or at all yet. So which one are we going to do this for? Lang 2 or Lang 3? Do we want to have a... Let's have our... let's use this chain shift idea. Let's start with kwa. So let's have K debucalize. K debucalize to H, Yahma, and Kwa lose its rounding and go to K. So Anko, Yahma. And because we're debucalizing things, we can lose the distinction between the stop and the fricative. Afto, excuse me. This goes to aftoch, but then if we have one that's not, do we have one that's, excuse me, I need to find if we have, something like, no, I don't know. Do we have actually any unrounded hua? I guess we don't. That's kind of weird. Okay, that's cool. I'm into it. So then let's just lose the rounding on hua. So here we have aftoch, anko, aptom, fakle, fastna, fach. I'll just fill some of these out. Yostako. So this is our initial stress. Yosta. So K to H. Qua to K. and vortige. Okay, so that's cool. L'aqua, this just becomes lac. Can we find another interesting word? Let's use our anatoqua, our home word. So here we have antok. Yeah, yeah. Okay. What else do we do? Okay, I kind of want to take these labiovelars from in Lang 3, and I kind of want to turn them into labials. So this is something that happens in some languages. Labiovelars can become, they have two parts, right? You have the velar element, the k in qua, and you have the labial element, the w section. And so sometimes labiovelars can turn into either velars or labials. And so it's by no means unheard of for things to go down like this. So instead of avidoh, you get avidof. Anag, anab. Antok, antop. So we're going to turn all of our labiovelars into velars. Oh, sorry, into labials. That's the whole point. So then let's see if we can, is there anything else that's kind of juicy here? So l'aqua becomes lap. What else? Fahua becomes faf. Faquale. So this, schwa deletion doesn't apply. Intervocalic voicing does. Final vowel deletion does. And labiovelars to velars. So we get fabol. And this is where it starts to get kind of cool when you put all these words next to each other. So we have a family where you have faculi, facle, and fabol are all cognates, meaning already. Okay, so we can probably do more. Just for the sake of completion, so we can have some more full cognate sets. We have yosta, yostag, yep, that's right. Kelaya, this is going to become kelya, and this is going to become kelai. Goli is going to become, oops, I was wrong. This is going to become helya. Koli bird is going to become hol or gol. Okay, this is kind of cool. One other. Yeah, what else can we do to make this a bit interesting? Okay, let's look at this umasa. We have imas. Here we have deleting the even-numbered vowels, umsa. That's fine. And here we have umas, and that's fine. So imas, umsa, umas. I think we need some vowel changes. I think we need some vowel changes. What can we do? What can we do to make one of these a little bit weirder? We could add some, I don't know, we could add some umlaut or something. So when you have let's add some umlaut in Lang 3, because we already have this final vowel deletion, so we know we're going to get new contrastive vowels out of this. So let's say umlaut front before front vowels, except we have to do this. How do I get this over? There we go. We have to do this. Front vowels before front. So very early. So we need to take, this is lang 3. So we need to have Avidof rather. Where is a front vowel? Give me a front vowel, please. Fakwole. Fabil. Where is that? Where is that? Oh. Here we are. And I only have it going over one syllable. We might change our mind on that, but fakwale, patoma, fetu, anything else? Yosatamia. Okay, so this is going to need let's just do this. Let's do this one step at a time so we can see the process. So I'm just gonna, because I have no more room on the screen, I'm just gonna do this here. So we start off with, I remember this was a compound word, that's why there's a hyphen in it. So we start out, this is our input, our protoform, yosatamia. Then we get umlaut, so front vowels front before front vowels. So we get yosatamia. Then we get schwa deletion, yostamia, pronounce every syllable. We get intervocalic voicing, nothing going on there. We get final vowel deletion, yostamia. E. Yeah, I don't love it, but let's just keep it. Yostami. And labials, we don't have any here, so they got big. Yostami. Okay. What else do we have? Koli. So here we need Girl. That's right. Okay, so that's all the ones that we have there. Okay. Yes. Why don't we do some nasalization? Let's Frenchify. Let's Frenchify lang 2 a little bit. So vowels before nasals, nasalize, and the nasals delete. So nasal. Let's just call this nasalization. And let's have this happen in, so in lang 2, so we have, instead of anko, we would then have, where is my nasalization diacritic? There it is. We have anko, antok, apton, it's a long nasal. Well, let's just finish this process. Unsa. Oh, that's cool. Let's go through and let's make sure we have reflexes for all of these as we go. So alupa, initial stress, delete even numbered vowels, alpa, nothing else to be done there. Yafalo, initial stress, yafalo is already initial, yaflo, lafu, this becomes laf, lo stays lo, ma stays ma. All right, that's all you can see. Let's leave it at that. And I don't, do we have any more nasals? Yostamia. Now the question is, do we also want to nasalize the vowels before nasals that are in the onsets of syllables? I think we kind of do. Yostan. Oh wait. Yep. Okay, we're of a similar mind. Yostanya. Ooh. Nasalization fun. Yostanya. And do we have any other? We don't think we have any others, do we? No. Not on this screen anyway. Okay. So, let's finish up let's leave Lang 2 for 1 second. Let's finish up our reflexes for Lang 3. So we have, get rid of this. So the fa is just going to be fa. Fazan. Fed. Uv. Yaval. Lav. Lo. Ma. Okay, great. So then, let's see if we have anything interesting. So do you remember our text about the swan and the raven? So this was called Hoska Papayawi. And I still don't know what to do with the stress in Yustamiakal, but so it's called Hoska Papayawi. Let's try and put that into our 3 new languages. Oh, sorry, our 2 new languages. So we have to make some to go down to find. Oh, okay, Payawi is here. So let's copy over our rules. And this is kind of a little test to see if I've actually, when I'm doing some diachronic conlanging, have I actually made something interesting. And just to translate a short little phrase. So I don't think we're going to get anything out of pa. That's going to be the same everywhere. What else do we have? Payawi. So initial stress, delete even numbered vowels. Paiwi. And we get nothing else. In Lang 3, we have Payawi. We have intervocalic voicing, which doesn't apply. We have final vowel deletion. Payao. 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 Okay. That's pretty. I think we could tweak them a little bit. I'd really love to have one lose P. Maybe what we could do is, because the labial velars are becoming labials, why don't we lose our labials first? So basically P and F become nothing. 0 being nothing in this case. So this will get us a little bit more towards strangeness. So ayao. Oh, Luke, I see some nasal harmony, if that's what you're referring to. Having the nasal vowels infect surrounding vowels. We could put in some nasal harmony. Let's go down this road of getting rid of our original labials first, and then let's turn our attention there. So, oh yeah, we're not going to delete our M. That can stay, but P and F are going to be deleted because those are going to have new P and F come from qua and hua. Okay, so let's get rid of our original labials. Oh, we already have this up here. That's brilliant. Lakwa, okay, lavu. So this is just going to become oops. Sorry, I'm struggling here. Data management, very tough. Maybe we should have this occur a little bit earlier before the intervocalic voicing, so I don't have to make a complicated rule. P and F to 0. And let's copy that down here so that I don't get confused later. I know there's the height of organization going on here. So then let's get rid of alu. So we have alu, atoma, abol, azan, af, ed, u, yal. We can just turn this into a long vowel, yal. So we don't have vowel hiatus sequences sneaking up on us. Yakama, yostako, galaya, kolilavu. Okay, so I think we've gotten rid of all of them. So now it's looking a bit... Oh, aidof. Now it's looking a bit different. So instead of pap, so we have hoska pa payawi in Yustamiakal. We have something pa paiwi in language 2, and we have something ayao in language 3, which is starting to look divergent enough for my liking now. So let's translate our raven word, which is where is it? Okay, so the protoform is huasakwa, which I actually really love that word. So let's get rid of, so what's this going to come out to in language 2 first? So huasakwa, delete even numbered vowels, so that's going to get rid of our schwa. So let's just run through the whole thing. Huasakwa, I'm not going to write the stress. Huasqua, now we have our nice chain shift here. Get you a little bit more room. You can see it. Hey, it's just under me. So our forms are huasqua, heavens. We delete the even number of vowels, then we do our chain shift, so we have chaska. And nasalization doesn't apply, so we have chaska. Great. So that's our form for crow, or is it raven? Yeah, it's raven. So we have hoska and chaska in lang 2. Clearly related, but slightly different. Now let's evolve it in lang 3. Huasakwa. Here we're going to delete schwa. We lose our original labials. There aren't any. We have intervocalic voicing. There isn't anything that applies to huasq. And then, oh, here's the coup de grace. We have fasp. So from huasakwa, we have fasp. Oh. Yes. That is really good. I really like that. Okay. So then the title of our story in language 3 is Faspa Ayao. Instead of Hoska Pa Payawi. And to be, for the benefit of those who aren't used to our romanization, this is something more like, this is a uvular fricative, Hoska. And allophonically, we back vowels, we back a at least next to the uvular. So we have Hoska. Hoska papayawi and faspa ayao. I really like this. Okay. So Luke makes an interesting point. What if the P and F become approximates instead of being deleted? Well, we do have another language, don't we? Let's make 3A and 3B. So these are going to be related languages. We can, instead of having, so the umlaut happens first, then the schwa deletion, and then we lose our P and F. But in 3b, we get all of these. We get these first changes. Except instead of P and F going to nothing, we get P and F going to what could they go to? We could have them go to so something like this bilabial. This is probably what happened in 3a as well, but then it just kept going to deletion. But we get P and F going to fa, and I don't know. What do we could do ha. So in this case, we are definitely intruding on the ancestral. Oh no, we're not intruding on anything. Okay, great. So then, what we want to do with that, let's use a few illustrative words to sort of establish ourselves with this lang 3b. Apologies for the scrolling. I know it's annoying. And we're running out of room, so you can't see lang 2 here, but that's okay. We're working on the 3. Yeah, the labial dental approximant. The thing is, that's going to be voiced. It could happen if we had the intervocalic voicing come first. And then we have P and F turning into ra. Or P and F turning... Well, we could have B and V definitely turning into ra. And then we could have the P and F that remain doing what we had decided before. So turning into maybe F and H. And then we have this F, ra. Yeah. Let's run with it and see what happens. Because if it makes something cool, then... So this is a great word to play with. Afitoche. So we umlaut a. Afitoche. We delete schwa. We voice intervocalically avi doche. Then we turn this into ari doche. Avi doch. Sorry. And then ari doch. And then, yeah, that's that word done. Unless we add more changes to this, which we probably should. What more could we do? What could we do? Maybe we could have some sort of a... Ari doch. This is that labial dental approximate's tough for me to say. Ari doch. Maybe what we want to do... palatalization is always a fun change. We could just add that in here. So everything So consonants before front vowels, or y. Can palatalize. That's a fun change. That always gets that always makes people happy. And then we could mess around with them after that. Alveolar plosives could become fricatives. Yes. Okay. So let's. Where are we? Yeah, we got to minimum. Let's play with this because I think laying 3B could be a lot of fun. So maybe let's leave palatalization for a while, and then let's play with the alveolars. So basically, we could have T and we could have D turning into the. D turning into the. And then the question from Here for a Good Time of can ch become sh? Ch can definitely become sh in at least in 2 stages. Ch, hye, sh. That's a thing. I think that happens in some varieties of German. But we'd want it to happen in this sort of palatalizing environment. So maybe we do want palatalization. Let's palatalize things so that then we can have interesting outcomes for these. So for different things. So let's write this as palatalized ch, so hye, this palatal fricative, which is then going to become a postalveolar sh. Yeah. Okay, so let's use that. And sadly we can't fit everything on the screen anymore. Let's take 3A because we're not working on that actively right this second. We're going to make this 3B something special, I tell you right now. So, habido, and we're also going to need to palatalize habido. And then what we'll do, I think what we'll do is we'll palatalize to tease these sounds apart so that we can have 2 series, one palatalized and one not, and then we can mess with them and then lose the palatalization later, and maybe mess with the vowels so that it's not obvious what happened. It's all about clearing or sort of covering your tracks. Okay, so alupa. What happens here? We get alur. Let's find something that would actually palatalize. Do we have anything? Am I just not seeing it? Coli. Okay. So here we have something like coglia. Oh, I forgot. We have to delete final vowels eventually. Col. And Yosetamia. Let's actually run through this and do all the changes so that we can make sure we've got it right. I need more space. Okay. Apologies if this is cramped. Apologies if this is utterly cramped. And now I need more space here. Okay. So, oh, we'll just put it here for now. So we have Yosetamia. Yosetamiya. What? Oops. Okay, that's two hotkeys too close to each other. Umlaut. So we umlaut to. I honestly don't know sometimes. Watch someone realize that he's aging out of the demographic that is fluent with every single interface on the internet. Live. That's what we should call this show. Okay, so schwa deletion. Intervocalic voicing does not apply. Palatalization does apply. Yosetamia. We don't need to change any of these things. Here. Yosetami. Yeah, you know, it doesn't yet. I haven't yet found that one word that just makes this language pop. I think what we need to do is let's take a page from French. So palatalized consonants are going to turn into sequences of y plus consonant as long as there's a vowel before them. So instead of having avido, we go to aivido. Or, right, this is a glide. Aivido. And here we don't have yostamyi. We have yostaimi. Here we don't have kol. We have coil. And I think this is some good stuff here. Yes, let's do faquale. So here we have faquale already. Let's do it properly. So input faquale. Vowels front before umlaut. Or sorry, vowels front before front vowels, which is umlaut. Sometimes I just don't know. Schwa deletion, no. Intervocalic voicing, yes. Palatalization, yes. Faguele. B. F becomes H. Haguele. I almost, if we're going to be doing the to the, it feels wrong not to do g to r. So let's let it join the fun. And then, so and then we don't do anything here. We delete final vowels, and then we have our secondary articulation, the palatalization. Oops. And here I put it on the wrong side. Apologies. This is the kind of stuff you'd edit out, but we're doing it live. So, Haroil. Oh my goodness. And you know what? While we're at it, let's have W's do the same, or labialized velars will also throw out a W in front of them. So, Haroil. And that's weird. And then, what we could do to have even more fun is, just like we've intervened here before we mess around with before we lose the palatalization, we wait until the sound's in this palatalized stage and then we change it, and then it doesn't get to participate in any of the palatal games. Similarly, we can do that with other things too. But I think we'll probably have to leave that for next time, because I see we have run entirely out of time. So let's take a look at some of our, just as we look at this, yes, you're right. Languages 3A and 3B don't appear to be related anymore, and that's excellent. Like, you can sort of see it, but not quite. And so I'm very happy with this. I'm going to attempt to pronounce some of these things. So we have I think probably the best example is this, and thank you for suggesting it, this protoform facule, which means already. We have faculi, meaning already in Justamiakal. In Lang 2, we have fakle. In Lang 3A, we have abel. And in Lang 3B, we have haureul, or something like that. I absolutely love it. Another example that's not as dramatic, protoform koli. In Justamiakal we have kuli. In Lang 2 we have hol. In Lang 3A we have keul. In Lang 3B we have koil. We need to round that. Yeah, why didn't we round that? Koil. So I'm getting French vibes from Lang 3B because of this. First because of the front vowels, and then the stuff we've done with the palatalization. I could see just absolutely destroying most of these consonants, so that we don't have anything like ayo. We have something like ayo, or something like that in the future. Or especially because we need to get rid of that secondary articulation. So we have something like ayo. Why not just turn that into ayo, and give it the French treatment of just basically destroying all the consonants. Oh my goodness, this has been an amazingly fun time. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been spectacular. The saga of these languages will continue as we go through the weeks. We're just going to keep developing them more and more, and hopefully they can serve as an example, sort of a worked example of how to go about starting a conlang, and then developing it, and then developing it, and then developing it. And we could even get into some world building. I mean, we've done a little bit with our fable, but I think the next step would probably be to reconstruct some grammar for the proto-language, and then translate our little fable into all of the different descendants. So that, I think, will be a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do that next week. Otherwise, thank you all so very much. I'm going to sign off now, and just ponder all the different possibilities that these languages have to offer. If you have any ideas for sound changes and you're watching this later on YouTube, leave them in the comments. And thank you so much again. I will see all of you. Let's go back to the full screen for the sign off. I will see all of you next time. Thank you so much for joining me, and Happy New Year.